Good evening, everyone. This is the Ayer Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, November 9th, 2023. Commissioners in attendance this evening. We have Jenemiah as member, Jessica Gino as member clerk, George Bacon as member, Mark Phillips as vice chair, myself, John Schmallenberger as chair, Heather Hampson as conservation agent. Welcome to all of you. Confirmation of agenda.
Oh, yes, all set, sorry.
It's okay. Motion to accept the, motion to what? Approve the agenda as written. Wow, it's going to be a good one.
So moved.
Second.
Got a second there? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. All right. Approval of the meeting minutes for October 26th, 2023. Anyone have any comments, changes, corrections? No one?
They were lovely. They were lovely.
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 Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 26th, 2023 as written?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
We could, if everybody read the executive session minutes and nobody had anything to change, we could approve those.
Everyone read them?
Yep. As long, if we had anything to discuss, then we have to go into executive session, but.
Motion to approve the minutes from the executive session from October 26, 2023 is written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Passes unanimously. This is the time in our meeting for public input. If there's anyone here who is not on the agenda that has something to say, have a question for us, now's the time. Okay, hearing none, then we shall move on. Our first item this evening is a public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number, still no?
No, we do. We came in late yesterday afternoon, so the DEP number is 100-0486.
486.
Just came in after the agenda was posted.
So the notice of intent and DEP file number 100-0486, 71 Sandy Pond Road, which is the construction of 2 duplex dwellings on a previously disturbed lot. Would you join us, please, sir?
Right.
And state your name for our minutes, please.
Yep. It's Brandon Ducharme with David E. Ross here on behalf of North Country Developers, LLC.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so we had an initial meeting a few weeks back as well as a site walk, and we've got a couple of modifications to the plan here. This is at the corner of Snake Hill Road and Sandy Pond Road. There's an existing 3-bedroom home here that's going to be demolished. We're constructing, it's going to be 2 lots with 2 duplexes, one on each lot. And the addition, in the interim, we've met with the Ayer DPW to figure out the best way to tie the sewer in. Initially, we had thought there was a stub over in this location here. Come to find out, there is not a stub. They identified there's actually a buried manhole. It's below grade here, and they thought that would be the preferable way to tie the sewer in. So what we've done is we've modified the plan just to collect the sewer from each of the buildings, tie it together with a manhole, and then deposit into that existing sewer manhole in Sandy Pond Road. The other thing we've done is we've added some tree plantings here to revegetate the 50-foot no-touch.
And does that show any additional tree plantings next to the road, Sandy Pond and Snake Hill?
We don't have anything on this side at the moment, but we're open to whatever.
Okay. And that's the only change?
Yes. Yep.
Was to and is all of that out of the buffer zone, or?
So you can see the buffer zone is in orange here. So
No, I mean the sewer. The
sewer is, we kept it outside of the 50-foot, similar to the other side. So kind of, this is the limit of the 50-foot marked in yellow.
Yep.
So the sewer kind of just comes outside of that and then ties into that manhole there.
So it's in the 100.
Correct.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
You have any questions?
The little patch of trees and the two 10-foot stumps, snags, whatever you want to call them, is that all being ripped out, or what's going on there?
Probably just leave the trees as is.
That wasn't what was proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out on site, they said they'd probably have to come out. That all the
Okay.
trees on the Snake Hill side would probably be removed. The one in the corner there and the other one, because it's where the driveway was gonna be.
Yeah, so this one obviously is within the driveway, but that one, did they, I mean...
Yeah, they mentioned on site that they would have to take that out.
Okay.
We will,
Roy's-
and then whatever we need to plant back to make
Okay.
it look pleasant.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's my suggestion, and it's up to the commission what their thought is. I would like, I appreciate the screening on the 50-foot buffer to restore that area. I just would like to see whether it's tree plantings or shrubbery, or mixture of both, along the roadside, just to buffer the houses themselves from the road and the neighbors from the existing housing, because otherwise, it's a corner lot, so your lawn and your whole thing is just, here's the street, because there's no sidewalk or anything in that area. I just think it'd be good to have some sort of buffer in there. And like I said, it's a previously disturbed lot that's been just a giant parking lot for the most part for a long time, and here's our chance to try to make it look a little bit nicer. And if we could get something on either roadside, I think would be nice to see, especially with the trees coming out.
Yeah. That clump of trees, one of them, on the sidewalk, we looked at them, and one of them is clearly dying. The one that's healthy has just got a
Yeah.
big lean that's right for the house.
Was that over here?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can see why you want to
Driving
take
by
that.
today, I noticed there was like two old tree stumps,
Mm-hmm.
right, big white ones, basically. So that's why I was just wondering if they were. So at the moment, yeah, they would be coming out. So okay.
Yep. I think those are big old white pines they took down a while ago. Cut them off and just left them stand.
Yeah, must have been.
Yeah. Any questions or comments, Jess?
No, where are you with the planning board and the division of the parcel?
So they're on the agenda with the zoning board of appeals first for the duplex units.
Okay.
And then once we get through that, then the next thing would be to go to the planning board for an A&R approval not required plan to subdivide the lots.
How about you, Jen? Got any comments? Questions?
The only thing I was hoping to do or have put up is signage of some sort, which we've done in some properties along the buffer, so that the new homeowners know kind of where their limits are.
That was one of the comments from DEP.
Oh, good. All right, good.
To have, whether it's, they say split rail fence, landscaping boulders, or signage to prevent encroachment. So we can definitely have that in the
Perfect.
special conditions, to have the signage that we normally do.
Yeah, that was my only thing on the sidewalk.
Thank you. How about you, Heather, besides the addition of trees
I
and
would just like to
shrubs?
see the additional trees or shrubs along the roadside, if at all possible, especially with the two big trees coming out along Snake Hill Road.
Okay.
What are you planning on doing about roof runoff?
So as it stands now, everything is just sheet flow off the site. The only thing we could offer would be some sort of infiltration chambers or something like that. But it's pretty flat the way it is now.
Rain barrels.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is, so if this was all coming out, would that be a useful spot, maybe to put a rain garden in or something, maybe, George? Instead of the tree planting? I mean, there are kind of a ton of trees around there, but might that be something, doesn't provide the buffer, though, that I know you were
No,
talking
and I don't
about,
know if
so.
it's gonna be, if that area would be wet enough to get enough road runoff that would support a
And
rain garden.
they require maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
And it would get salt and stuff from all the road maintenance.
Yeah.
That's very true, too.
It's a good idea, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, just given how flat it is, the way that the grades will work is it's kind of, you can see there's a swale kind of, this will collect and sheet flow this way, this front portion's going to kind of come that way, but
Yeah. What the roof runoff would you want to put into the swale into there before it hits the wetland?
I'm just worried about erosion.
Yeah.
So just as long as the grade is such that it spreads.
Again, in terms of erosion, it is pretty flat. It's 232 pretty much around the whole site, and it really doesn't start to drop off. We're 230 all the way down here at the wetlands, so it's, the entirety of the lot is pretty flat.
Okay.
Anything else? No? Too soon to vote on this?
We can approve it in draft.
Yep. Okay. Is there a motion? Any other discussion before we move on? Okay, motion to approve the notice of intent with, well, the changes that you've made about the sewer as presented, as written.
So moved.
And we'll hammer out the details and the orders.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
So you can write up some orders for that?
Yes.
Be great.
Yeah, I started drafting a little bit, but I'll hammer out a little more specifics on it.
Okay.
And when's our next meeting?
The 14th of December.
Yikes. That's a long time.
Well, it's the 2 weeks from today's Thanksgiving.
I know. I know.
They're not going to be tearing down and building right away anyway. So you've got a couple other
Got a few
floors.
more steps to go, yeah.
Few more steps. Okay.
Well, we're not holding
And
it.
it could go for a building permit with the we've approved it, just that hammered out isn't there, so it wouldn't be you could still if it got to that point you could apply for the building permit. It just
Yep. So we can approve and issue the orders on the 14th.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you too. So motion to continue the public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0486 until December 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we now have, our next item is a request for determination of applicability, 111 Fitchburg Road. Wyatt, is that Wyatt or what? What?
What?
What? And help me with the last name.
Oh, you can.
Nom.
It's just not.
What? Nom.
Nom.
Construction of a replacement sewage disposal system. Do we have a representative here?
That's you're fine.
You doing double duty tonight?
That was you, 2 for 1.
All right, Brandon Ducharme, David E. Ross, here for 111 Fitchburg Road. This is what was an existing office building.
Yep.
Now it's a place of worship, religious institution here. With the change in use of the building, which is now a 300-seat place of worship, plus they are accounting for a couple of bedrooms, it's required that we upgrade and increase the size of the existing on-site sewage disposal system. This, obviously here in blue, represents the Nashua River. There's a mean annual high water line. This would be the limit of the 100 inner foot riparian zone, and this is the 200 foot,
Yep.
which clips a small part of the building. This is a parking lot here, existing propane tank. Presently, the existing system is in the same footprint. There's 2 points of exit where sewer comes out of the building. One is on this side, it comes down, runs along the building to an existing septic tank. There's actually 2 tanks, a pump chamber which doses that field, And then there's another sewer line that comes down here and ties into this same septic tank. By increasing the size of the septic, it requires us to upgrade and increase the capacity of both the septic tank and the pump chamber. So what we're proposing to do is essentially just excavate out the existing tank, remove it, and install the new larger tank and pump chamber, which is kind of just in the very outside of the 200-foot riverfront area. Obviously, once they remove and install the new ones, the finished grade will be restored and it'll look the same as it does now. There's about 530 square feet of alteration in this outside area. We're just proposing some erosion control to kind of wrap that around and keep the limit of work defined.
Then the leach fields get replaced as well.
Yeah, so in this area here, they're going to remove the existing leach field, which is a Presby, and then they're installing a larger system using a geomat, which will be pressure dosed by the pump chamber here.
So is the leach field outside the riparian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the tanks.
Just the tanks. So with the existing sewer line here, right at the tank, they'll disconnect that pipe and then just reconnect it to the new tank. Yeah.
What's the, I guess roughly, what is the distance here? Is that, what is that?
I would say it's probably about
20 feet?
Yeah, according to the narrative, it was something about 13, it was within about 177 feet.
And where's the pavement stuff here? Right now I can't.
So this
remember.
this dashed line represents the pavement. So you can see this is the kind of the limit of the clearing.
Yep.
The pavement cuts down here. This is a parking area. And there's another parking area on this side.
Okay. So this is essentially grassed.
Yeah.
This is grass, right?
All landscaped area, yeah.
Is there in here except trees and just a little bit of grass?
The last time I was out here, some of this is wood chipped area, but it's there's no trees. This is the limit of kind of what the edge of the woods is. So everything is kind of within the open area. This system actually wasn't installed too long. I think it was back in 2014 that they put that.
Isn't this your old, this was your old building, was it not?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and that's why office space is a much lower flow generator than.
Sure. Yeah.
You mentioned something about the bedrooms. Is it zoned to have bedrooms in there? Or?
So technically, I mean, that's one of the things that I know the architect is working through for a religious institution, but it is a commercial industrial.
I double checked with the building commissioner, Charlie, the zoning enforcement officer, when this plan came in. I missed Bridget, the health agent, in regards to the septic permit, but I did ask him, and he said technically, since it's a church, it's exempt. But he knew that they needed to do this in order to have those bedrooms in there, so he's aware of the project.
So the reason I asked the questions
it's
around this is
exempt
merely because...
It's a church, from zoning.
From zoning, so exempt from having to go to town sewer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, except for the bedrooms in the zoning district. Charlie, so I made sure I mentioned it to him, and he's aware of the items, what's going on in the project and what's getting installed, and what the plan is. Just I wanted to make sure he knew.
And this plan's been filed with the Board of Health, but we haven't had the hearing yet, so it's not approved, but it is filed for review.
All right. And the other reason I was asking about this is because with it being so close, does anybody want to entertain the idea of pulling these tanks outside the 200-foot? Is there much of a benefit, potential for leakage later on?
Well, the other issue I see is how close are the tanks to the flood zone?
So the flood zone is much lower in elevation. It's more associated with the edge of the river here.
Yeah.
In terms of the tank, I mean, if we could have pulled them out we would have. I mean, so be it that most of this existing sewer line is already within the riverfront area. If we were to move the tanks, we'd have to put like a manhole or a 90-degree bend. And given that, you know, this primary line will have solids and everything, you really want to try to avoid too many 90-degree bends in that sewer line prior to hitting the septic tank, where those get moved. Which is probably why they had it there to begin with when they did this back in 2014.
Okay. Okay.
So these tanks are staying, is that what you're saying?
No.
No, you're pulling
they
the...
need to just be increased in size, so
Okay.
they're gonna pump, crush, and remove the existing tanks and just drop the new tanks in.
Okay, okay. Heather?
No, I mean, working for the town of Littleton, I've seen many septic system replacements in my time, so it's the easiest one. You're just taking out an old one and putting in a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the newer tanks are better than, I mean, granted, it was just done in 2014, but new tanks are always better than old tanks.
Yep. Anyone have any other discussions, comments, questions about this RDA?
What type of tank is it? Just like a plastic one?
Concrete.
Never had it.
Concrete.
Yeah.
Concrete. Okay.
Concrete.
Concrete? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tanks are concrete, huh?
The septic tanks are concrete, yes.
I did not know
Boxes
that.
too, they're typically concrete. They have alarms and stuff in them too, when they overflow or any sort of leakage.
Yeah.
Usually they have alarms built into them as well in the cap.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to issue a negative determination at 111 Fitchburg Road for the new construction replacement sewage disposal system?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you very much.
Do you have an idea of when this is going to take place?
Well, we're kind of coming up close to the end of the season, but we still need to get through Board of Health, so
Yep.
it kind of depends when we get on with them. So most
Do you have any
likely it'll be
variances
spring.
for that for the Board of Health, or is it just a straight permit?
I don't know. There's no variance. Just straight,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
so you're just waiting for
Yeah.
Bridget to issue it then,
Yeah.
and the board to sign it. They have a meeting Monday. Yeah, they have a meeting Monday.
Would they not construct during the winter, or does it not really matter? Just do it whenever?
You can. I mean, the leaching field is the hardest thing. Just given sand, it's freezing and thawing.
Right.
They would like to get it in if they could.
Is it an urgency? Is it leaking? Should have asked this, I guess.
No, it's really just the inadequacy of the size of the system,
Okay.
which is preventing them from using.
They gonna be able to use the building while they're doing the work?
What was that?
I
Will they be able to use the building while they're
in
doing
some
the work?
capacity, but not. I don't think they're able to provide the seating that they would like to have there until they get the septic upgraded. So they would obviously like to get that going.
Okay.
So. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item this evening is the request for extension for orders of resource area delineation, DEP file number 100-0445, Stratton Hill off of Wright Road. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Frank McPartland from Dillis and Roy. I'm the engineer on this project currently. And I'm here before you to ask for an extension on the ORAD for the Stratton Hill project. It was first filed with the commission in April of 2020 and then approved by the Conservation Commission on November 23rd of 2020. And then we weren't able to present anything to the planning board on the project until July of 2021. Then there was some back and forth with the town at that time, and we were finally able to file the project with the Ayer Planning Board formally fully file it in April of 2023. And the hearing wasn't officially opened until, that's the one date I didn't write down, but I want to say it was September of 2023. And it's actually been continued to next week. So we are coming up at the end of the 3-year life of the delineation out at the property. And we're just asking for a 1-year extension on the ORAD, which would allow us to continue the process with the planning board and then file a notice of intent with the commission.
Anyone have any comments or questions? Sounds pretty straightforward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the site has been extensively studied, and in this timeline, there hasn't been any changes since the ORAD was established.
Okay. Is there a motion to issue a 1-year extension on the ORAD at 100 or at Stratton Hill Wright Road, DEP file number 100-0445?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you too. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Take care.
You too.
No executive session this week?
No,
No, nice.
no, we do not have any this week.
Second period.
Yeah, I might, get lucky. Yeah, the first period's always the worst anyway.
Playoff game?
No, oh gosh, no, this just started. They play like 70 something, they play close to 70 games, we only played 12 so far.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I only follow hockey.
I've only been to watch them fight because that's fun. I get annoyed when they don't fight.
When they don't fight?
Yeah, I'm going down to Worcester and I yell and kids are like, why are you yelling? I go, 'cause it's hockey, you're supposed to. Now they get it. Okay.
So cute.
Check for needles.
I've eaten enough of them, there's no need.
You got all the bad ones.
I did.
Conservation Office updates.
All right, so just so you guys know what stuff that's going on, 10 Calvin Street, I went out yesterday. They are going to be putting solar panels on their house, and apparently they needed to cut down 5 trees in order to do so. I thought that was an exorbitant amount, so I went back and looked, and one is on the border of outside the buffer, so that was, I discounted that one. One is already leaning towards the house, so in a matter of time they would have called for that one too, and the other 2 were just like, it's not a, so they'll be taking 5 trees down probably on Monday, Tuesday of next week, so if anyone sees anything on Calvin Street, on 10 Calvin Street, I've been out, it's fine. There's enough pines and stuff still on the side, and nothing's being touched in the back of the house, he's just all on the roadside, crane in the driveway, so there'll be a little bit of disturbance on that, and they are gonna leave a snag on the closest tree to the pond. So
Okay.
that was that.
With
John,
regards to the snags, though,
what?
with regards to the snags, are they dead trees or are they truly live trees?
These are truly live trees.
Okay. Pines? What type of trees?
There is mostly oak, actually, oak and I think a maple. They're leaving all the pines.
Okay, all right. Because like the snags, we had them leave over on Mount Laurel.
Yeah.
They're growing.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they did not die. I think they were poplars, right? I think is what
Yeah.
Mark had said. And like, oh yeah, it's like, like, oh my gosh, it's just amazing.
See, trees find a way, look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, just
John-
in case, you know.
Yeah.
So they do it once they do it and it doesn't interfere with their stuff.
It won't.
so.
It would take a long time to interfere with the solar, so it'll be fine. John called me about trees that were cut down on 24 Calvin Street. They were indeed. You can see them from the street. I sent a letter to the property owner, just notifying them that they do need to tell the office.
Are we making them come in? So we made that other guy come in.
They didn't fall in the pond.
There.
That's the only reason.
Sure we're being
The
fair,
only reason
equitable to
why I
our
had that
citizens.
gentleman come in is because they fell in the pond. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, you can't even tell they did anything if you just drove by real quick, but since I knew something happened, I made sure I went slow and looked, and it's flush to the ground. And other than that, if you drove by, you wouldn't even know. So that's the reason why that one did.
They had a big crane. Big crane.
So maybe just check in and find out if they're gonna stump grind or something, maybe?
It's flush, so but probably not, but I will make sure I follow up with them on that. I got a email asking about, and maybe someone on the commission was there when the regulations were written for Pine Meadow. It's allowed that you're allowed to do deer hunting, but a gentleman called and asked about duck.
Duck?
Yes.
Don't know.
I didn't know either. I didn't know there was a specific why you allow deer hunting and not all, or what?
My memory is we only allowed hunting during that 2-week period.
Right, there's nothing specified in the regulations, so. And deer hunting is, it.
Should be. Should be specified.
Okay, I mean, we can update them, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I just, the person asked, and I have no idea. I'll find out for you.
'Cause we had multiple discussions because some people didn't want us to allow any.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, to allow hunting on land that people walk on a regular basis. That's when our kids were little, I'm like, I'll just go on Sundays if I knew a town allowed it.
Yes, I thought our reasoning was that allowed for some control of deer population. But
Yeah, I was assuming there'd be
Not
something,
the-
and that's why it was specified just deer, but I'm like, I could try that. There's enough, the Nashua River's not far, there's enough places to go waterfowl hunting. But
Yeah.
What do they
I seem to
use?
remember it was deer hunting during all normal seasons, so it could be
Yeah.
archery, it could be whatever.
No, yeah, we said hunting is limited to the taking of deer as permitted under state law and solely during state-approved shotgun seasons. That's
it's shotgun
Well,
season,
shotgun.
that is just 2 weeks, yep.
More than that,
only
okay.
shotguns and bows and arrows may be used during this time period.
Yeah.
Because shotgun and bow and
Shotgun,
arrow
bow, both,
overlap.
yeah. But bow hunting is longer, yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't address duck hunting.
Okay.
But it is only shotgun hunting?
Yeah,
Correct.
because bow hunting is like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or it starts in September, I think.
Yeah, it
goes
does. It
through-
starts into September and goes through December, into
I
December.
think probably, and then
I had the
right
magazine
after
right on my desk.
Thanksgiving, you have the 2 weeks of shotgun season,
Right.
and then you have 3 weeks of muzzle loading.
Yep.
And that muzzle loading guns can travel
Yeah.
quite a distance. There's too many residents there,
Yeah.
but this was a way of allowing some, but I've yet to see deer in there though.
Oh, gosh, I have.
Oh, I've seen them.
I have not.
Oh, I did one, yeah, last,
See their footprints all the
Spring.
time.
I'll take care of them for you, don't you worry.
Yeah.
okay, so it was only deer, not, I would assume like duck, the lake is just, to me, would be, there's enough people that live on the end of that pond,
Yeah.
that would make it tricky.
Yeah.
What do they use? What do they shoot a duck with? What kind of a gun?
Shotgun.
Shotgun,
It's a shotgun?
yeah, and
What do
usually
they-
you have
what-
a dog that retrieves it.
What do you have? What are they using now for the pellets in shotguns?
I have no idea.
Because there was a big to-do about all the
But,
lead
yeah.
getting into the
I believe birdshot, they generally are pushing steel.
steel.
And then, I don't think they use much lead anymore. But shotgun still has lead slugs, for deer, that is.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be one of the objections I would have for shooting into the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I just assumed there was a reasoning by it, but I just thought I'd ask in case I ever get the question again. I know the reason behind it. It's nice to know. Next meeting, we should have an RDA for 42 Park Street. That's the big red house. It's been before planning board, the last meeting, and again on Tuesday. Person's going to be renovating that and adding an addition to the building to the back. In extensive trying to review that site, I found a hydraulic like drainage ditch. So they're going to come for an RDA because it is indeed something that they need to file for us on. So I caught that one. So that was a proud moment on my end that I was able to find that. So that'll be coming at the next meeting.
So is that an intermittent stream? Is that what it is?
It's an intermittent stream, and it flows the drainage it starts just behind the dry cleaners, right in the border between the two properties. Flows as an intermittent stream through behind Dunkin' Donuts and then drains into the wetlands by the fire station. So it all kind of connects. It's not in the floodplain. It's not in the new updated floodplain. FEMA's in the process of updating the floodplain maps. That won't be for another year. I did get a draft of it. So all these projects that we're getting, I've been double checking to see if the floodplain has increased in those areas, and it hasn't. So it shouldn't be a problem. Same with this septic. It hasn't. For some reason, it expanded a little bit on one side of the river, not the other, or there was it was weird on the river. It had more of a loss than it did an increase on the Nashua River, which I thought was weird, but whatever. I don't do that stuff. And the last thing, I will be checking, Dan's been busy, but I'm gonna be double checking with Dan from the DPW in regards to the MVP grant that I want to write for the rain garden, just because they've done so many in town that I might be able to get some draft numbers or companies I can contact to figure out how to get more details on that grant and figure out how we want to do it, because the maintenance of them costs quite a bit. I want to make sure we have that information going up front, and the cost to construct them, so we can figure out possibly how much we can ask for and what we could get to try to help property owners install rain gardens on their property and educate them on how to do so on their own as well.
So if the town...
What's the maintenance?
No, it's okay.
I think it's just more or less of replanting the shrubs, and that there's like a mulch layer, and that might have to get replaced. So it should be minimal, but I can get that information because Dan has done them, so I can get all that information from him.
So when the town installs rain gardens, they maintain them, and if
what it will be, so that's why I figure out how we're going to do this. Of course, so it's in the ponds report from 2016 that this is one of the items, and it was listed as a high priority because we have so many private ways along Rockford White Road. And those were and that's where a lot of, there was other ones that were just like pinpointed, like, hey, we should have one here, we should have one in Sedgeway and Mountain View and Mountain Road, and so, and then the last item as a project for the town to do in the ponds report was to have an education outreach to tell people how they can put rain gardens on their property themselves. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, maybe we could get, if we write it, depending on how we write it, and I'll put this in the intent to MVP before the deadline next month to see if we can get the outreach to do that, along with some sort of like kiddie fund to help kickstart it, to help give people some startup money to do it, so we're not just we're educating them, and also if they go to do it, we can help fund it as well. Let's see if we can do that. And then they would just be in charge of, some of the costs, install it, and the maintenance of it.
Great incentive to do it.
Maybe, we'll see. I mean, everyone likes to, somebody likes to complain in town that the phosphorus counts and stuff are high in the ponds, and what can we do? This is, unfortunately, it's all private property. So unless we get permission from the property owners to do that, which, I mean, we never know if we're going to get or not. If we can get some of the property owners to do it, that'll be helpful. So we'll see. We'll see if it works.
Yeah.
I've never written a grant before, so we'll see what happens. I don't have very high hopes, but we'll see what happens.
I'm happy to proofread when you get to
that. I want to get the intent in there and see if it's a viable grant option or not, but I want to get some information from Dan so I know what I can put in that intent with an idea of costs and stuff. So I just got to speak with him, but he's been busy the last week or two, so. But I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
And it'll help with the crossover, because now I'm supposed to be doing some stormwater stuff, so it'll help with public outreach and the town's MS4 permits for stormwater too. So they got twofold on that one.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, along the same lines of that, if they do go forward with the sidewalk, essentially from the beach out to the schoolhouse, would it be useful in placing some rain gardens along that, because they're going to have to do some pretty extensive.
It depends on what they're doing for public, if they're in the public way or not.
Okay.
I haven't seen with I don't think they're that far in the plans or not with that. I can ask Dan. I have a meeting with them next week for stormwater utility. So I can ask them that question, or Matt, if they've gotten that far with that project or not, because I think you'd have to figure out how wide your sidewalk is compared to the property lines and the street, if there's any room to do that.
Yeah.
Would the sidewalk be on the pond side?
Pond side.
Yeah. Some of those areas are pretty narrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty, so it also depends too on what
I was
side.
thinking literally at the front of my property where they actually put in a swale. As part
Yeah,
of
I
the
know, they did.
development. And it goes to the wetland right behind
Yeah.
the schoolhouse.
Yeah,
And, I mean, obviously, it gets a ton of street runoff,
yeah.
but if they
Yeah,
were to
putting something
convert that
there.
swale into a rain
Yeah,
garden,
well, so,
it might be helpful.
so the town, so we're having a working group meetings to discuss the possibility, which was, the select board approved it a couple years ago, and it was taken off time to have a stormwater utility fund, which is similar to your water and sewer bills. And that would be for improvements. The money that gets raised from that fund, from that fee, would help improve the town's stormwater. And that would be something that probably would be done with those funds further down the once we figure out and improve all the existing underground stormwater systems, to look into doing projects like that where we know that would be an improvement to have. Because they are doing, obviously they're doing the one on 3rd Street. That would probably be another one, but so it'd be an idea to flag those going forward, I'm sure at some point, on where it'd be good locations to do that once the town has the.
It's, and again, like I said.
Yeah, I don't know how far the sidewalk's going down. Is it going down all the way to the schoolhouse? I thought
my neighbor supposedly told me that, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't think it was going down that far. Oh, I'll find out and I can make the suggestion to add that into the plan.
It'd be nice too if they went on the church side.
Oh, that parking lot's a disaster.
Right? I mean, they could
There's
really
constantly
fit
water in that.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, think what they could possibly do. I mean, that is obviously a breeding ground for mosquitoes consistently throughout the summer. But if they could, adjust the grade there and actually put a nice rain garden in, I'm sure the church would be like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the town would love to do something like that, but I think the priority at this point is to get a sidewalk into the beach. Because I didn't think it was going down that far. I thought it was only going down to like Easy Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or Patriot, one of those, whichever one's the
I was
furthest
gonna
one
say,
down.
yeah, Easy Street is like a block at the most.
Oh, so the Patriots way.
Yeah.
I think it was
Maybe
only
you're
probably just
right.
going down that far. I think it was going down all the way.
Okay.
But I hadn't seen the plans for it yet.
Okay. Time will tell.
Anything else?
No, that's about it.
You got her?
Yeah.
Jen, have any updates?
Sure.
Jess? George?
So we kind of wrap on the end of the year, and it's going to be budget time, and 5 months to town meeting. Is there anything we want to do to forestall any more complaints about weed control? As far
What's your
as
suggestions?
we want to have some sort of a public meeting with somebody who can talk intelligently about it, about the options, and why we're going with the best option.
Who would that be?
And that's the question. Nobody here.
Yeah, so I had reached out to several of the towns, and I got to reach back out to Liz, who's the agent in Harvard, because she's the one that told me that DEP wasn't renewing their permit for drawdown because they don't want to
Yeah.
do that anymore. So I got to meet with her. In the majority of towns, and I think DEP as a whole, are looking for chemicals. They don't. I think that's the best. And we can't do drawdown as a whole as it is on ours because of all the ponds being connected. So there's not much of an option for weed control besides those two things. And there is machinery. I don't know how Littleton made out with theirs.
Yeah, they haven't been posting their minutes.
Yeah. So I hadn't found another town that had a machine, everything that I reached out to. And I mean, I reached out to Lake Shirley, and they do drawdown and chemicals. I reached out to and looked at the Quinsigamon Lake Association in Worcester, and same thing, they don't even have a machine, and that's a big sitting in a big pond lake, so I don't think a machine is something that's mostly common, so, I mean, as we get
And that was
close.
a late in the season thing, that you couldn't use it until late in the season anyways, which I think we'd have complaints about. Because you have to let the weeds grow up to the surface.
Right. Well, I'd been in touch with Ms. Tordello Williams, and she said that she was going to get in contact with some individuals that know about Groton and some other town, and that
Harvard.
Harvard, and we're going to have them come in and tell us what they do, and I've yet to hear
Yeah,
back.
I did tell her at the Newton Street Festival what I heard from the agent in Harvard, how they weren't going to be allowed to draw down again. And
Is that
she,
right?
Yeah, and she was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I heard from the agent, that they had their permit for Bear Pond had not been wasn't going to be renewed, and they weren't going to be able to do a drawdown." So, and I told her I've been researching it and trying to find out every other agent, every other association, lake association I reach out to, they either do drawdown and chemical or just chemical.
Mm-hmm.
As much as none of us like to see it, I think that's
I know.
more or less what the recommendation is.
Mm-hmm.
In the pond report, and I know it's a spot treatment. It's not a full out chemical. It's a very minimal. It's almost like when you do invasive plant removal, where you're basically painting stems. It's essentially that, only in water.
Yep.
If we keep up with it regularly, we only have to do spot treatments generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the reports that we've been getting, and I haven't gotten the year-end one, but the amount of chemicals they have to use, and from the beginning of the year to the end, it's a huge difference from beginning of the year to the end. So I think they do work really well, as much as people. I know the issue is it falls to the ground and dies, and that's where I think everyone's more or less the concern. And the majority of people somehow get held up on the chemicals. The rest of them get held up on the muck the sediment that's at the bottom. And that's something I have to look into, and how we can get that taken care of, if we can even clean that out. Yeah, and how we can do it. So I got to figure out how we can do that. I think that's in one of the pond. I think that's in the pond report too. Is that we should do a more extensive report. Testing, because we'd have to test the sediment for contamination before we could do that. So it's something I should probably try to research and look into, so we can get going on that maybe next fiscal year.
Yeah. So
That would help solve everyone's problem with the chemicals, maybe.
you might send an email. Is it Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, at Water and Wetlands. But when we get the year-end report, because we'll have to get the we have to get the RFP out like in January.
Yes.
For
Yeah,
next
I'll reach out
year's.
to him next week to get that in. And if we want to have him come in again, maybe we can publicize that meeting a little bit if people have questions and concerns in regards to it. I don't know when the contract ends, but if we can get him to come closer to the town meeting, things like,
Well, that
maybe
could
it'll be
be-
helpful.
Yeah.
And if I can figure out, and if he knows, or if I can find another agent that knows of a company that does the soil testing and how much that costs, if we can get that to figure out about dredging the pond and how the extensive of that would be. I would assume it would be. But I know, hearing what people's concerns are more or less with the pond, you have a few that are concerned with the chemicals, and the majority of it is people are concerned. One, they don't think it's working, and two, is the debris falling and causing more sediment and making the ponds shallower. So I think that's what we need to look at.
With regards to it not working,
Yeah.
I guess how long have we actually been applying chemicals? Like 10 years, 20 years? Like, is that, or is it only somewhat recently, I guess?
2000. Well, the Friends of Flanagan Pond blew up in 2011-ish, I think.
What do you mean blew up? What did you say, blew up?
The villagers with their pitchforks came to the Board of Selectmen at the time, which was the Board of Selectmen, and got the selectmen to authorize using 30,000 of UDAG funds for that pond, and then they went to town meeting and got another 30,000 on a town article.
Because
It
it was overgrown? It was overgrown?
At that point, it was very overgrown,
Okay.
and
So I guess where I was going is, do we have before and after kind of pictures that we can show people that might be pushing back at town meeting to say, this is what it was before we used to
Yeah.
do any chemicals? And then
Yeah.
I know we had a slight
Yeah.
hiatus there for a while, right?
What's your neighbor's name?
Yeah, we've been doing it a lot longer than that, but we did have the hiatus.
I mean, we must have at
I'll
least
think of it in a minute.
right?
Yeah, me too.
Even from when they have started the chemicals, right? They've
Chuck.
done aerials,
Chuck
right?
Miller.
Or
Yes,
something,
I need to
so-
get a hold of him.
And ask him about photos.
Yeah, because I need to ask him questions, because someone told me to ask him if he would know if we had any rules and regs about the
Yeah.
ponds.
Wouldn't there be satellite photographs?
I can do, yeah, Google Earth Pro, you can go back in time. Google Images you can a little bit, and the GIS you can go back to like 2019, 2017. But on Google Earth Pro, which I don't have on my computer, but Charlie does, you can go back to the 70s. And that's fun. So I could find things like that. When we had the Flanagan Pond boat access meeting, there was a couple, and I think it's funny is I think everyone that lives on like Calvin and Oak Ridge, like it depends. Certain people like, no, it's perfect, and other ones that live on the other side are like, no, it's worse. And I think it's because on the Groton Harvard. Is it Groton Harvard Road? Yeah, that side and that end of Oak Ridge, the pond's worse than closer to Sandy Pond, and it's you have
Probably shallower.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have two sets of people that live on that experience a different pond. That I think that's where some of the issues coming from too.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
So you just could get more of your neighbors to come to town meeting and say, no, the pond's great, instead of everyone on the other side coming and saying, no, it's bad.
I think it's in good shape compared to when we first moved in. It's better than when we first moved in.
And especially since we did the geosyntech report in 2016.
Yeah, as I say, that report,
That-
it had, and that one had the same, everything that Water and Wetlands does is exactly what's spelled out in that report.
Yeah. I also think a lot changed in terms of the regularity of our being able to do this with, say, the changing membership of the select board, and also when Robert became town manager.
Yeah.
So we've gotten, we've been able to be consistent.
It might help if you could find out what it costs to dredge
Yep.
plow shop.
Yeah. Oh, plow shop. Yeah.
That was millions to do 2 coves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see if I can find a company or just reach it, get an idea of what it would cost, because I think bringing that, if it does come up at town meeting, of those concerns, be like, well, we could do this and this, which is another 50. You know, I didn't see what happens, but I do want to get a figure out a cost of that. I know we have to test the soil too first, and then you go in and dredge it, and when we would do that and time of year. I don't even know how we even get access to Flanagan. We don't even have it on the town side, so that would be the problem part too. You have to give someone a grant as an easement to get into the property.
Dredging Flanagan Pond is sort of nonsensical, isn't it? Because it is the flooded wet meadow, but
Right, somebody's gonna ask.
yeah.
But someone's gonna, because that's,
Yeah.
you know, that's the one that everyone's worried about, that we're treating and that things are falling and the pond's getting shallower.
Yeah.
No one seems to care much about Sandy Pond. It's always the concern seems to come up at Flanagan. So that would be the one I would focus on. But I don't even know how we'd access it. That's the other thing, is I don't even know how we'd access it.
They could find a way.
There's that little strip of land the guy wanted
I mean,
to give
you
us.
have the pump station
Across from
on
the beach.
Central.
Yeah. But that got bought up.
Did it?
It was
Oh,
on.
it did, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, it was on.
Just going.
Just go, yeah.
Yeah, go through, yeah. But I mean, there is
Your driveway.
the pump station on Central Ave. I think you could get it from there.
If you
Depending what
dredge
the
deep
equipment
enough,
is.
There'll be no weeds though, right? Like a 10-foot pond? 10 foot deep?
The other issue is we don't own
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that has to go in order to do that, so I just gotta figure out.
Just don't know who you might be dredging up.
Oh, jeez. Yikes.
Yeah. If we,
There's lots of steps to this stuff.
Yeah.
People don't, it just comes up as you start looking into it.
if we resolve the Flanagan Pond access at some point.
Yes.
Then I think our next thing would be, I wonder if we could build out a little, on Sandy Pond, you know, where you go over the Causeway Bridge?
Yeah.
If there was any sort of boardwalk we could build out around that as well for fisher people.
Oh, to get them off the bridge and...
Yeah, especially if we have more development down Wright Road, because, boy, you come in at dusk sometimes, and there are people standing on the roadside of the guardrail, and he's like, oh, as you go around the bend.
I don't know how much, what there is for fish in there, but we do have the lovely public access to Shaker Mill Pond,
Yeah.
and there's plenty of parking on that road.
Yeah, but the state stocks Sandy Pond.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, again, you know,
Yeah,
we do own the property on there. That's a question for the Parks Department.
yeah.
I did. Somebody asked me once if they could launch from that street. I go, I didn't tell you you could. I'm like, just don't let anybody catch it. But people do. Okay, so yeah, it would be nice if we could build something. I don't know who owns. I think the town owns that little sandy strip
Yeah.
there. And you know, anyone know any Boy Scouts that need the project? That'd be a good one.
We did have a whole bunch of Boy Scouts for a couple of years
'Cause
there.
it is just get pretty
Drive.
shallow. You have a little beach. If you could put a little,
Yeah.
it's a great pond.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with your dock.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if it's under a certain size, you're fine.
Hey, you might ask Robert if town council's gotten back to him on the.
I have a number of things before Robert, so we'll see. I have a number of things that I've had before
Yeah.
Robert, so we'll see.
We tried this a couple of years ago, and it got shut down at the state level, but there, you know, the fertilizer bylaw,
Yes.
the Cape has their own, from what I understand, that they're exempt from the state regulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of how much water they have. But
Yeah,
I
the
think
National Seashore.
we've got a lot of water. We have a
So-
lot of water. Does it cost us anything to do this again?
So from my understanding from when it didn't pass, it's because the state already does not allow, unless you're licensed, any phosphorus fertilizer to be used on your property. It's already illegal, and that's why it didn't pass. It already exists.
Yeah, but they don't enforce it.
Yes, I understand that, but you can't create a bylaw when a state law already exists. You
How
can
come
make
this-
it more stringent, but you can't, it basically, you just wrote it over again, so that's why they got turned down, because you can't, unless you're a licensed, you have to go through a certain license with the state to, or use a phosphorus-based fertilizer.
But the Cape
Exempt.
is
Kate's
exempt
exempt, yes.
Because of,
I'm gonna assume because of the national seashore and the
National
amount of
seashore
water, and the
controls.
salt marshes and everything that they have, they would be.
we got
exempt.
lots of stuff too. We got the Nashua River, we got,
Town of Littleton has 6 great ponds. You have 2.
well, don't make, you're making me feel bad.
I'm just saying, like, it's not to be like, everybody does. A lot of it, New England as a whole, Massachusetts as a whole, there's a lot of rivers, there's a lot of streams, there's a lot of ponds. It's a matter of, I think there should be a public outreach, public flyers, whatever, put out, or whatever, some sort of thing,
Yeah.
to just tell people to make sure when they're hiring, when they shouldn't, but whatever, if they're hiring a landscaper, that they know they can't do this. Like, we know some tree people will cut within the buffer, even though they know they're not supposed to make sure they know that they're not allowed to use phosphorus, so that that homeowner is making sure that they're checking. If they're buying it from Home Depot in Nashua, I don't know if it's a state thing or if it's more regional, like New Hampshire has the same phosphorus rules or not, to make sure they're not using it, because you can't buy it here.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you can't buy it on Amazon and get it shipped or whatever. I don't know how those work. So I think it's more or less, maybe if we could do more of outreach of that. Having the rain gardens, according to the ponds report, if you read through that ponds report, and granted, it's getting on a 9 years old now, because I think the tests were done in 2014, so it's like almost 10 years old. It says that the phosphorus removal on just doing these rain gardens is is huge. So I think just doing things like that as a whole would help. If people realize you're living on a pond, having a vegetated buffer is actually a great thing, and not having lawn all the way to the edge. I think doing things more like that would be more beneficial than
Yep.
creating a bylaw that if the state already has it and it's not being enforced, how are we enforcing the bylaw as a town?
Well, we don't, but
Do you know what I mean? Like if it's already a state law and it's not, if you
Yeah,
say it's not being enforced, how's
Details.
enforce it?
yeah,
Details, details.
but it
Jen
sounds
has
like
been
rain
looking for
gardens are.
something to do.
Oh, for enforcing things? Yeah, sure. Work from home, I'll just wander.
But the rain garden education.
I think the rain garden
promotion seems like a
education
good way to go.
in trying to get people to put them on their property, I think would be a great idea. I think you'd see more people that would have to do that, because we do have people that bought the house on Oak Ridge right next to the dam. They're taking a tree down in the next couple of weeks. And while I was meeting with the homeowner on site, she was like, oh, can I plant shrubs or something back here? I'm like, oh yes, please do. Like blueberries would be better, would love to grow here. She goes, oh, I love blueberries. Yeah, let's plant blueberries. So she's taking one tree down and then probably going to plant like a handful of, 2 or 3 blueberry bushes back there. So I think you're getting some people that do move into pond areas that are actually want to protect it.
Right.
So I think doing this, the amount of people that live on the pond, I think we could get a couple to put them in.
I bet too, especially down off of Wright Road.
Yeah, if we can get some off the right road.
Yeah.
I know Jess is all gun hum about putting a rain garden in at her house.
Well, I don't own that strip.
Well,
My neighbors do.
yeah,
You don't-
but I mean,
You don't own your beach?
Well, that I do.
Oh.
But they're talking about the
yeah,
going down Mountain View.
yeah,
And then there's a strip
Yeah.
between there and the pond.
yeah,
And that would be a good location.
yeah. It's spelled out in the
Yeah.
pond report. So I think if we
One
if
of
we
the
can-
other locations in that report for Mountain View is now a house.
yeah,
Andrew
yeah, and there's
Griffin's.
some on Central Ave and stuff too. But I do think if we can get that, if I can get the grant written, I will get a
Yeah.
grant written. It's not due until March, but so hopefully they'll say it's a good viable project. We'll get the grant submitted if we win it and we get this project going, or even if we can try it on and see if we have funds to do it ourselves. If we don't, on a smaller scale, hopefully we can get people to put some rain gardens in along, even on Sandy Pond, on the Sandy Pond roadside. There's a lot of houses on that end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's steep, but there is quite a few on that end as well, and on Oak Ridge Drive on Flanagan. So, and you get the bunch on. I mean, it's not just those two. You have a whole bunch on Shelley Lane and 3rd Street and off of on Grove Pond too. So it's. I know we tend to focus over there, but there's a whole nother pond over there with a bunch of houses over it too. So I would. I would spearhead those 2 neighborhoods. I wouldn't just focus on those 2 ponds. I would focus on that one too, because the people they do have their yards straight to the pond on
Right.
Shelley Lane. So I don't know how they look over on 3rd Street as much because I haven't gone over there as often, but
That's good stuff.
hoping.
Yeah. The other challenge on putting like rain gardens at the bottom of these roads going down to, say, Sandy Pond, is that's also where the snow gets pushed.
Mhm.
It's filled with salt.
Well, that's the other things too. I think we did mention that when they did the right way
Yeah.
subdivision to try to get away from using salt along that.
Yeah, we
street.
mentioned it.
We
Was,
mentioned it. I'll mention it to DPW
See how
again.
this winter goes.
yeah. If we have snow.
It's supposed to be very snowy.
Yeah, the
It
Farmer's
is.
Almanac said very snowy because of El
What is
Nino.
wrong with you?
Hmm?
What is wrong with you?
Buffalo girl, born and bred.
I love snow. I miss the 3-foot snowstorms we had when I
Rather
was a
snow
kid.
than just rain.
Oh,
I would.
Yeah.
but
Real,
like,
real snow, not
Yeah.
slush.
ice does not count
No.
as real snow. Ice we don't want.
The really light snow that you can just like sweep away.
You use a leaf blower to just.
I have tried the leaf blower on that. It doesn't always work like intended, but
Flamethrower. You have any other things? No? Mark? Jen? Jess? No? The 111 Fitchburg Road, I remember that we had left that a long time ago, that remember that they had, this is before your time, I believe,
Yeah.
that they had put in an access to down to the river.
Yeah.
It was their own, their own doing and just did it. And I thought they were going to get back to us with a plan on how to do it correctly, and they never have.
Pandemic then came along, and
Yeah.
among other things.
Is that something that, I haven't been down there since. Has anyone been down there to take a look? Are you gonna go down there before they start
What
construction?
I will do, I will condition that the erosion controls get inspected, and then while I have permission to be on site, I can meander over there. But I can't, without permission from the property
Yeah.
owner, be on site.
Yep.
I know we did also, that was being investigated for the canoe launch or whatever. also,
Exactly.
Along the road section. I forgot, did that ever just die? Wasn't feasible or something, that guy said?
I think there were feasibility issues, and then the pandemic.
And then the pandemic.
And then people forget about stuff. Because I don't remember anything pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that was, when I was on vacation, climbed to the top of a mountain, and my niece's fiance was telling me about the guys that did the path up the mountain, the trail or whatever, and they call themselves the geezers, the old geezers, and they.
Hey, watch that.
I think he said they cut down the aspen trees, and they use those to create like steps and stuff like that. And yeah, I have to say it was pretty impressive. And they even had to cut into rock, and you could see where they drilled the rock and then sheared it to create a step on some of the some of the rock ledge and stuff. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool. So, yeah. I brought you some pamphlets too, because.
Oh, yeah. I love pamphlets.
So
The more I can add to that table, people do occasionally come by and spend some time looking through all my handouts. It makes me very happy.
Well, these were ones that I wanted to give you as examples.
Yes.
Because they have, so the town that they live in is called Mars Hill, North Carolina. And so they have like a little walking path kind of thing. But the thing that my niece's fiance is on, he does barn saving. And so throughout the county, all the towns have their own little barn set, and at the base of this mountain is some barns, some tobacco drying barns actually.
Yep.
But they had really nice pamphlets.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like the way they had them laid out was
Yeah,
really, they got a QR code right on them and everything. I wanted
That's
to
the
show
thing
you.
is, like,
thought it was
I
really
make
cool.
these, and I'm like, I have no idea what I want it to look like. I don't have the skills to do
These
this.
are pretty cool.
I need something I can copy, and then
Yeah.
I learn how to do
Yeah,
this.
I brought them for you for example, so
I appreciate
I will
that.
give those.
I never thought
had
being a
them, I grabbed them,
conservation
and I
agent-
must have left them
I
on
never
the
thought being a
kitchen table or
conservation
something.
agent, I'd have to do like graphic design work, but it's okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That's all I
We're
got.
working on it.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
8:08.
We are adjourned.